Tandem Nomads episode 231. One of the biggest challenges of being a solo entrepreneur is having to wear all those hats and do all those things on top of what all your business is about. So when is the time for you to start delegating so that you can focus on your zone of genius and also enjoy the ride and have the time to really focus on the areas where your business needs you? Hello, Nomad Nation. Welcome to Tandem Nomads, the podcast show and entrepreneurship platform where you can find great inspiration and tips to grow a successful portable business and thrive in your global nomadic life. This is your host, Emel Deregi. I'm a business and marketing coach and the founder of Tandem Nomads. This episode is part of a series where I answer the questions of the audience of Tandem Nomads, you, Nomad Nation. So I'm really grateful that so many of you have been sharing some amazing questions, and I've decided to put this challenge to myself to answer one question in each episode and give you as much value as I can in 15 minutes or less. So Nomad Nation, if you have a burning question that you want me to address in order to help you start or grow your portable business, make sure to go to the show notes of this episode where you will find a link to drop your question. To find this link, go to tandemnomads.com/231. Let me jump right away into this week's question, which is a great question and a big one, so I'm going to try my best to stick to the 15 minutes. The question is from Gina, and she asks when to make the jump from wearing all hats to creating a team. What a great question. Thank you so much, Gina. This is indeed one of the biggest hurdles of solo entrepreneurs, is to know when is the right time to start investing in the help you need. It is indeed very challenging to have to wear all those hats, like Gina calls them. And I love that. So much things to do in your business, and at some point you have to delegate. And my answer to this question is straightforward. I think that you should start delegating as soon as possible. The one thing that stops people from delegating is the investment. So the thing that I really highly recommend you is to realize, first of all, that it might require from you to start spending more money than you're earning at the beginning when you hire a service from a VA, for example, to start building your team and start delegating. But as long as the free time that you are freeing, thanks to the help you need, that you're focusing it on money generating activities, then you can start investing that money that you have so that you can slowly grow your business as well as your team. And by the way, in fact, it doesn't have to be a big team right away. It can be a one person. And here, there's the term that's called VA, just in case you don't know what it means. It's called virtual assistant. It is a industry that is booming. There's so many virtual assistants out there, and not all of them are very expensive. You can find VAs at hourly rates of about $15 a month. And of course, it can go very high. The more skilled the person, the more experienced the person is, the higher it can go. So it's really important that you understand that you can start with baby steps. And by the way, it takes some experience to know how to hire people, how to guide them. And that is also a great way to gain those skills as early as possible and to build the team as early as possible. So I highly recommend you to think about that in your business. If you are feeling overwhelmed and you realize that a lot of tasks are just being skipped or important things in your business are being forgotten, then it means that it's highly time for you to invest in the help you need. Also, it's also about your energy. You want to also keep your energy for your clients and the real business activities, the business revenue activities. So think about that. Look at where is your time spent, where is your energy spent, and is it spent wisely in bringing new clients in your business? If it's not the case, then delegate, and you don't have to delegate huge tasks. You can delegate with small baby steps, small tasks in your business, and then as you grow and earn more money, you can then start delegating more tasks. So here is a short list of some of the easy tasks you can start delegating right away in your business if you feel overwhelmed and that you're wearing too many hats and spending time in things that you should not spend time in. So the first example is uploading your content on your website. The second is creating the visuals for your social media, or even posting and scheduling your posts on social media. You can delegate that as well. Also, proofreading and editing your content can also be delegated. Copywriting is another thing that you can delegate. So here it needs that the person has either experience or knows your business really well so that it works. We'll talk about that, by the way, but it's still a great task to delegate if you struggle with that. Also, you know how much important I talk about online research and finding the information you need to grow your business. For example, if you need to make a list of events where you could be speaking or podcasts where you could be speaking, things like that. These are things that you could delegate as well. Some online research, easy online research are things you can get delegated to a virtual assistant. So start with these easy steps, and once you get to grow your business, make more income, then you can start looking at upgrading your team and growing a team that really helps you elevate your business and really focus on your zone of genius, as I like to call it. We talked a lot about this in the previous episodes of this podcast, so check them out as well. Now, one thing I need to tell you is that finding the right person can be difficult. Although there are so many virtual assistants out there, finding the right person for you that actually makes you save time and not waste time is something that can be a bit of a hurdle. And actually, that is the reason why I think you should start as early as possible so that when your business starts growing, you already have the foundations and even the team to help you grow even faster. So the big call for you here is to be patient throughout the process for sure, and be willing to go through error and trials. If you don't find the right VA right away, then try another one until you find the right person. So that's one thing that as well I highly recommend you to do, because it doesn't happen from a day to another right away that you find the right person. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of tips of places where you can find a VA. The first one is actually in certain Facebook groups. If you go to Facebook groups, you will likely find some digital nomads or virtual assistants private Facebook groups. So I highly recommend you to check those out and post an announcement right there. Also, LinkedIn is full of VAs, so you could type a search there as well. Know that on top of it, you do have some virtual assistance agencies that you might as well want to try. So here it's hit and miss as well. Sometimes it works really well and sometimes it doesn't, but they will also help you cut off the hurdle of finding the right person. They will find the person and you will pay the agency directly for those services. Also, know that there are some platforms that are dedicated for you to search for a VA. So these are not agencies. They're more like online platforms or apps. You could call them the Airbnb of VAs, where all the VAs will post their announcement there so that you can find them. There are two websites that you could start with. There's the first one called Fiverr. So Fiverr is really for those small little tasks. It's hard to find through Fiverr a VA that you can grow with, I found from my past experience. But it could be a good way for you to get started and warmed up. Then there's another more upscale website called Upwork that I highly recommend you to check out as well. So I will put the links of these platforms on the show notes of this episode on tandemnomads.com/231, as well as other tips that I'll share with you in a bit. And of course, another great way to find a VA is through recommendations. So don't hesitate to ask your entrepreneurs, fellows, if they have VAs, who they work with, if they have anybody to recommend. Word of mouth is definitely one of the great ways to start finding the right person for you. So my key message here for you in this episode is to start with baby steps. Start with small tasks and very little expenses per month until you get comfortable, and then you can start upgrading those levels of services and delegate more and more tasks and responsibilities as you grow and feel comfortable. Now, I want to dig deeper a little bit into this subject, knowing that for me from the get-go, it's been very important to start warming up, as I mentioned, but also very quickly try to find the right team and grow a team that grows with me. And this was one of the criteria that I used to choose when I selected my VAs, to make sure that they are people who I could imagine growing with them. And I will tell them that is that the more I can rely on you, the more I will be able to increase my fees to you and pay you more hours, and as well grow our both businesses together. And the other thing is that I love to make sure that the people that work for me feel really involved. And so even if they are freelancers, I treat them like they were employees of the business and really try to get as close as possible to that feeling. And that's why one of the ways that has helped me find my great team is to actually look within my own audience, people who know Tandem Nomads well and who are familiar with at least the concept of portable business and global nomadic lifestyle. The more they knew about this community, the less efforts we had to do to really align on our goals and work really well together. But it's not always possible. However, even if it's not the case, even if you don't hire somebody from your audience, you can still figure out a way to really build a team that stays with you for the long term. And that's actually, I realize now that I'm talking to you that that's probably one of the things I'm the most proud of. Most of my team members have been working with me for 2 years or more. So I really love the sustainability of having a great team that really grow their own businesses with mine, and where this feeling of trust and understanding keeps growing over the years. But also a level of efficiency. And for you to be able to be effective at growing your team, but also working with your first VA, you will need 4 important things. The first one is your vision. It is so important that you have clarity around the vision that you want to develop throughout your journey as a business owner, but also as a leader of your community and your business. So for that, I could recommend you to check out 2 books, and I will share them in the show notes of this episode. The first one is from Michael Hyatt, called The Driven Vision Leader, and the second one is called The Rocket Fuel by Gina Wickman, co-authored by Gina Wickman. Highly recommended if you want to think long-term about how you want to grow your business and your team. The second thing you need is values, strong values. And those are also a way to assess, if the right people are in your team is when you align your values. For example, integrity and honesty for me is really, really important in my business with my clients, as well as the people in my team, as well as inclusion and diversity. These are really important values in my business on top of those related to the business itself, such as women empowerment. So be clear about your values, and when you choose the right people, you want to pay attention to those values and how much you're aligned with that. And the third thing you need, and that's super important, is a strategy. It will be very hard for you to know what to delegate to your team if you don't have a clear strategy for your business. So make sure, if you haven't already, check out my 3C system workbook, where I teach you the steps to build the important pillars of your strategy. And that will be in the show notes of this episode as well. So you need to have a clear strategy so that you can have a clarity on what are you asking your team to do, and so that they can understand as well what are the goals you're trying to reach. And by the way, if you don't have a clear strategy and that you are not consistent with your marketing strategies, make sure to check out my online course called the Portable Business Accelerator. I have all the information about it in the workbook called the 3C System to Revenue and Impact on tandemnomads.com/231. And if you need any information, don't hesitate to contact me. You have all the information in the workbook. In this online course, I also teach how to build systems to be effective in your business and hence be able to delegate, which leads me to the fourth key pillar to be able to grow your business with a team is to have clear systems in place. So for that, you want to check the term SOP, System Operation Protocols. These are step-by-step protocols for your project management. So you want to think about your activities and how are you breaking them into steps so that they can be consistent, so that you can create some routines in your business for your team to know exactly what to do so that you don't have to always go to them and explain them what to do. I also recommend you a great tool to be able to manage your team, which is called Asana, and it's a great tool for project management with your team. As I mentioned, I teach you directly in my online course how to build your content in a very systematic way, but I also recommend you to read this great book that's called The Clockwork, and it will teach you how to focus your activities on what you should do and learn how to delegate the other tasks. All the information and resources that I shared with you today are in the show notes of this episode. And if you want to ask me a question to address it in these episodes, don't hesitate to find the link in the show notes of this episode where you can leave your question and I'll be happy to address it. Go to tandemnomads.com/231. Thank you, Nomad Nation. I did go a little above 15 minutes, but I hope that it was really helpful for you. And I can't wait to meet you in the next episode. Stay tuned to turn your challenges into great opportunities.